Shalom, 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 family. Yahweh Shem Yahshabarakatham. We are the Sons of Zion Israelites coming to you with another video for your edification, right? Specifically, faith by works, man. On the Milk Channel, faith by works. Let's get it, right? So week in and week out, right? We study a commandment to further perfect our walk with the Most High God, to bring us closer to Him, right? To increase our knowledge, to meditate on His laws, statutes, and commandments, all right, constantly, so that we can further perfect our walk with Him, all right. So let's open up with the book of Psalms, right, chapter 86 and verse 12. It says, "I will praise thee, O Lord, my God, with all my heart, and I will glorify thy name forevermore." So the first and foremost thing that we will always do is with our mouth, right, with our spirit, we want to glorify the Lord's name. That's why in the Paleo Hebrew we say, "Call Halal Yahweh by Shem wa Malak Yahweh Shah." With sincerity, that means what? Giving all honor and glory to God by way of His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right. Let's go to the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 14. Right. It says, "What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him?" So simply saying, I believe in God, I fear God, I love God. Is this enough? I believe in Him. Is this enough? Right? Verse 17, it says, "What? Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead, being alone. Ye a man say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works." Right? So we show our faith, our belief, our love, our great reverence unto the Lord by our works. All right. Let's go to 1 John chapter 3 and verse 18. It says, "My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth." So what's the deed and what is the truth this week on Faith by Works? It is what? Never trust thine enemy. That's right. The title of today's class is Never Trust Thine Enemy. We are commanded to trust in the Most High God and Him only. And many times, right, historically, our people have, confined in their oppressors, right? And they have seen the ordinances of, who has oppressed them, and they've stuck to that, right? They've seen how their oppressors rule with gold, with bronze, with iron legs, right? With all of these different materialistic things, and they've chosen to put their values into those things rather than their God, who has brought them out of the first captivity, which is Egypt. So we have to understand how important it is that we are to trust in the Most High God and not our oppressors. All right. So first, right, let's actually get the definition of trust and understand what trust means. Trust is, that's that 5-letter word that everybody knows, you know what I mean? Everybody uses, but let's actually get it in writing. All right. Share my screen real quick. Pretty sure everybody knows what it means, but let's actually get the definition of it. All right. According to the AI overview, right, as a noun, trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something, right? So do you trust in the Lord, or do you trust in the ways of the heathen, your oppressors, the very ruler of the captivity that you're currently in? So we're going to tap into that, because we've had many adversaries. We've had many rulers of us. Many of our people think that, the so-called white man, we've been enslaved to him since the beginning of time. Well, that's actually false. We've been in multiple covenants of slavery. And time again, historically, we have put our trust into our oppressors, our adversaries. You understand? And the Most High God has consistently punished us historically because of this, because of our idolatry, because of us trusting in them and not Him, because of us trusting in the creation rather than the creator. All right. So as a law, it's what? An arrangement whereby a person, which is a trustee, holds property as its nominal owner of the good of one or more beneficiaries, right? So that's not pertaining to what we're talking about today, but rather as a verb, it says believe in the real reliability, truth, ability, or strength of. Allow credit to a customer. So the archaic term and the law term doesn't apply to us, but rather the noun, right? And the verb of trusting. All right. It's the ability to really recognize something as its true power, right? If I need this, I go get this. And what we've done is over time, we've stemmed away from understanding that the Most High God is our refuge. To him should we place our confidence, our belief, our faith, and our sureness. You understand? As looking at the similar words here, right? Another one is safekeeping, keeping, protection, charge, and care. Now, those pertain not as a law, but the similar terms under that law definition here is safekeeping. Our refuge. He is the one that is going to heal us when we're sick. He's the one that's going to keep us safe when things hit the fan, right? He's the one that's going to continue to feed us when the storehouses are empty, right? And when we go through all of these different plagues and things of that nature, right? He is our protection. All right. He is our charge. He's the reason why we keep going. Right. And he's our caretaker. You understand? So we have to believe in him. We have to bank on what he said do. We have to count on his promises and swear by him. Now, we don't swear by him in vain, but we understand that to him, this Bible is our constitution. You understand? So we've stemmed away from that. So all praise to the Most High God, according to Baruch chapter 2, or no, rather Baruch 4:4, that we know what is well pleasing unto him, and that's meditating on his law. So let's tap into it. Now that we have the actual definition of trust, let's go to let's go to the scriptures. Right, when we go to the scriptures, we actually have a definition of faith. Right, let's get the classic. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 11 and verse 1. It says, now faith, right, which is a strong belief, okay, is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So we don't see the great reward, right? We only can read about it. We haven't got there yet, right? But we understand that it's the evidence of things not seen. What is our evidence? We've seen how the Most High God has rewarded us in time, in history. Right. And we understand that if we continue to follow him wholeheartedly and not our oppressors, we will obtain that. But we know that it's impossible to obtain that kingdom and to get that great reward if we continue to confine in and we continue to trust in and bank on our oppressors as our power source. Right. Let's go to verse 6. It says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek them. And that's rather plain. So we have to understand that we have to diligently seek him in order to be okay in this place, in order for us to receive protection from him. Right? Let's go to the book of Psalms, and then I'm going to pass it to you, King. Right? We're going to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 18. Now, I think I'm going to start it from the top, if I'm not mistaken. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 18, and verse number 2. It says, the Lord is my rock and my fortress, and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler, and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower. So in him will we trust. In him will we receive protection, salvation, and he is our higher power. You understand? He is our fortress. He's the one that's going to deliver us out of this place. So it's important that we understand the premise of this week. The premise of this week is to not trust in thine enemy. All right. And we actually get that in Sirach chapter 12. Right? The book of Sirach chapter 12 and verse number 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right, I yield that, King. You got it.
Come on, King. Mighty opening. Right. This is a very important topic, and we all kind of have to get in, because prior to coming to this truth, we all have some type of form of trust in our enemies, right? Some type of trust in people that have blatantly oppressed us, right? All throughout our history, right? We go to the law. The Most High God tells us blatantly not to do what the heathens do, right? Not to bow down and worship their gods, not to follow in their customs, this, that, and the third. But when you look at our people, especially in recent times, that's all we're about, right? I think about the well, first and foremost, it was a song, right? Kanye West, No More Parties in LA, right? That Kendrick Lamar verse where he spits that little, it sounds like gibberish, but when you listen to it, you realize he's quoting Tina Turner, right? And if anybody's seen that movie with Angela Bassett and Lawrence Fishburne, what's love got to do with it? You learn that Tina Turner was a Buddhist, right? And she used to always do a little Buddhist prayer. And granted, she's not the only one. She's not the only one of us, right? Who seeks after other powers, who seeks after other customs, right? Who does everything that's contrary to the heritage that the Most High God gave us, right? So first and foremost, I want to get this, the classic book of Psalm, chapter 147 and verse 19. It says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He had not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgment, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. Right. So when you understand that, well, we are a particular people, peculiar people that have been severed, right, from other people, that we should belong to the Most High God. Right. He says that in Leviticus 26. Right. And when we go away from what he called us to do, what he called us to be, and join ourselves into the heathen, right? We literally make ourselves enemies to the Most High God, right? So I'm gonna go to the law. I'm gonna go to the law real quick. It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, and verse 3. It says, after the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall ye walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments and keep my ordinances, to walk therein. I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Most High, right? So the Most High God gave us these laws that are our heritage, right? And these are also called the laws of life, right? Going contrary unto those laws, right, are the ways of death. So following after the ordinances of the heathen, the customs of the heathen, the religions, if you will, of the heathen, right, is following after the manner of death. And we have to make sure that we really understand this, and we really engrave this into our mind, because the chief of those enemies, right, Esau, Edom, right, the Lord says that that's the border of wickedness. Whenever you read the scriptures and it talks about the wicked this, the wicked that, right, it's talking about Esau, Edom, right? When you go to the book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24, it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, right? And you see that here in day-to-day life, right? The so-called Edomites, not the so-called, but the Edomites, the so-called white man, Salakia, right? He runs this earth. Everything starts and ends with him, right? He promotes all types of debauchery and abomination all throughout this planet, right? And he uses us, The children of the Most High God, the true most influential people of the world, as a tool to push his wickedness, right? This world is contrary to the Most High God through that demon who uses us as a tool to push that contrarianism, right? We've made ourselves enemies unto the Most High God by following after the customs of the heathen, right? Who are already enemies of the Most High God. And we can prove that, right? The classic book of Psalms. Let me get that and I'm going to pass it to you. Book of Psalm chapter 83, verse 2. It says, "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones," right? They have said, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance," right? So when you're following after these heathens and doing after their customs, you always have to remember, right, that they hate you. They don't want you to be a people, right? So-called Moabites can have their own land, call it China, right? Ammon can have their own land, Japan, right? But Gog and Magog can have their own land, right? Even the Philistines can have their own land. The Hamites can have their own land, right? Esau can have their own land. I mean, coincidentally enough, Esau land is everybody else's land, but that's neither here nor there, right? And all of them are confederate against thee, right? Well, it says right here, let's keep reading, right? Verse 5, it says, "For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee," right? They're literally cooperating with one another to make sure that even though all of them have their own lands, they have their own customs, their own languages, their own homes to return back to, they want to make sure that you don't, right? So-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American. They want to make sure that you don't have your own customs. They want to make sure that you don't know who your God is, that you can't serve him the way he told you to serve him, that you don't have your own language, that you don't have your own holidays, that you don't have your own way of life, right? Meanwhile, they're able to have their own ways of life, and they want you to follow in after it. It's all a work at the end of the day. It's all a mission to ensnare us and to keep us in that low position that the Most High God said we will be in if we disobey his commandments. That's pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15, right? And I'm going to yield right there, Ken.
Mighty points, right? So as the brother was expounding and bringing out, right, his scriptures and sealing his point, I was looking up some actual gods that we've put our trust in, right, in accordance to, you know, each adversary that we've served throughout history. All right, so I got a couple, right, but I'm gonna start off first. So, well, first, what I want to say, let me make this point, is that our people, right, Israel, have served was it five major captivities, right? It starts off with the Egyptian captivity, that's one. The Assyrian captivity, that's two. The Babylonians, three. The Persians, the Greeks, right? And Salakia. Lastly, the Romans, so six. Those are the six major captivities, right? All right. Without to mention, you know, the minors, right? For an example, one of the minors is under Moab during the time of the judges, right? We served Eglon. If you go to Judges chapter 2, right? But all in all, six major captivities. And what I've prepared here is some gods we've put our trust in, right? All of these six major captivities are ran by what? Six enemies of the heathen, right? And the brother said has all together, right? Spiritually, they have come together and have separated us from our Lord, right? They have separated us from our God, the true value, who we should be putting our trust in. So, right, let's start off with Egypt. All right, we're gonna go to the book of Exodus, chapter 3, and verse 9. It says, "Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. So right here, the Most High God is choosing, right, Moses to go and rescue, right, Israel, who has cried unto the Lord, out of the Egyptian empire, who is ran by Pharaoh. You understand? We put our trust in him, right? When you actually, when we actually are rescued out of them, rescued out of Egypt, right? We put our trust in them. Let's get that real quick, and then I'm gonna show you one of the customs of them that we've put our trust in, right? So when you go to, let's see, let's go to Exodus 16 and verse 2. It says, and the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses, who ultimately we understand that it was God who was our refuge and rescued us out of Egypt, but he used Moses with the help of Aharon, his brother. It says, murmured against Moses and Aharon in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, would to God had died. He says, would to God we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into the wilderness to kill the whole assembly with hunger. Right? So they're murmuring against Moses and Aaron leadership during this 40-year journey after coming out of Egypt. Murmuring against him like, man, when we were in Egypt, we ate good, right? We wasn't hungry. We had plenty of things to eat of. But now that we're in this wilderness with you, we ain't got nothing to eat. Also talks about thirst. Let's go to Numbers chapter 20 and verse 3, right? It says, and the people chode with Moses and spake, saying, would God that we had died when our brethren died before the Lord? And why have ye brought up the congregation of the Lord into this wilderness, that we and our cattle should die there? And wherefore have ye made us to come up out of Egypt to bring us unto this evil place? It is no place of seed, or of figs, or of vines, or of pomegranates, neither is there any water to drink. So our people are murmuring against Moses, right? Who the Most High God chose, even after what? Seeing how Miriam, his sister, was punished in regards to how she murmured against, we continue to do so during this 40-year journey. We put our trust in Pharaoh and his ordinances, and seeing how he provided us what to eat, what to drink, right? Even though we were serving and we were building those pyramids, and we were enslaved and we were getting our backs beat in by the Egyptian empire, we still were eating better than this. But our people rather trust in oppression, trust in our oppressors, rather than go through the trial and through the firmness of adversity to be prepared for the marriage of God. You see what I'm saying? So let's, for a second, real quick, let's get an example of what we've put our trust in under the Egyptians, right? Share my screen. Egyptian gods and empires. Salaki. Damn scam callers, man. Right. So when we look up Egyptian gods and their powers, which is one of the things we've put our trust in, right, during that captivity, we see that one of them is the sun god, right? Ra, the sun god and creator. Osiris, god of the afterlife and resurrection. Isis, goddess of magic and motherhood. Don't our people perform this? Don't our people play with crystals and tarot cards, and they try to cast spells on people who have done them wrong? A lot of our sisters do that, but also we got men that do that as well, right? God of the afterlife and resurrection. Our people have really have tapped into that, right? The sun god and creator. This is what we do on Sundays, right? Out of ignorance, right? Our people are worshiping the sun. You understand? It says what? Horus, the sky god and protector, and Anubis, the god of mummification and the dead. So when you watch The Mummy 1, 2, and 3, I didn't really just tap into that. It didn't really strike my interest like that. But mummification, that's one of those customs. You understand? But primarily the sun god is what I wanted to highlight. The power of Ra. As of the sun god, Ra was a central figure in the Egyptian mythology, believed to have created the world and to travel across the sky in a solar boat. Madness. Because when we go to the book of Genesis, chapter 1, we understand who created what, right? And it damn sure wasn't no Ra, per se, right? It says what? Genesis 1 and 1. In the beginning created the heaven and the earth was out form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep. Moving down to verse 5, it says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So it wasn't no Ra. It was the Most High God of Israel, Yahweh. You understand? So that's just one example, right? I'm going to get these Assyrians, and then I'm going to go ahead and pass it, King, for the concept of time, right? So let me go ahead and knock that down, right? So these Assyrians is who we serve following the Egyptian empire. You understand? Let's go to that real quick and prove that in the scriptures. And then we're going to see how we've put our trust in them. You understand? Might have to do a part 2, man. We already halfway through an hour. See that? Right? So the Assyrians led by Shalmaneser. So what? The Egyptian empire was led by Pharaoh. And when we go to the Assyrian empire, it was led by Shalmaneser. Right? We're going to go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 18, and verse number 9. It says, and it came to pass in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, right? Our king, right? Which was the 7th year of Hoshea, son of Eli, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser, king of Assyria, came up against Samaria and besieged it. Just like Esau got this land with war and with blood, same here with this king of Assyria, right? It says, and at the end of 3 years, they took it. They took it. You understand? It says, even in the 6th year of Hezekiah, that it is in the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Israel, Samaria was taken. And the king of Assyria did carry away Israel unto Assyria and put them in Halah, in the Habor by the river of Gazan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they obeyed not the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant and all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded, and would not hear them nor do them. You understand? So we actually are seeing a pattern here. We understand why we're serving a so-called white man, and it's because of our disobedience. Well, the same thing happened, right, in the hands of Pharaoh. The same thing happened here with Shalmaneser. Because of our disobedience, because of our trusting in what we see before us, we're being oppressed. We're being put into slavery. We're being put into servitude. We cannot trust our enemy, or we will continue in this never-ending cycle. Israel, we got to get ourselves together, man. Ecclesiastes 1 and verse 9 in full effect. You see what I'm saying? So let's get an actual Assyrian, right, custom that our people have put our trust in. Right? Share my screen real quick, and then I'm gonna pass it. Right? When you Google Assyrian gods, this pops up. The AI overview. It says the main Assyrian god was Ashur, who was originally the defecation of the city of Assur. Right? It says, as the Assyrian Empire expanded, Ashur's worship spread throughout southern Mesopotamia. The Assyrians also venerated other major deities like Anu, Enlil, Enki, and various goddesses such as Ishtar. Doesn't that sound familiar? Ishtar? Let's read about that. Going further down, it says, what? Ishtar, the goddess of love, fertility, and war, a powerful figure in the Mesopotamian religion, right? So we understand that Ishtar, right, is the pagan god associated with Easter, right? This is where it comes from. That's an Assyrian custom, and our people still practice it today. It says the goddess of love and fertility. Who do we go to when we want to become fruitful and multiply? Who do we go to when we want to ask for a wife, or sisters when we want a husband? We go to the Most High God that He may send this, and we continue to keep His commandments, and then He blesses us with a family. Then He blesses us with a husband, not in that order, right? It says, "And a war, a powerful figure in Mesopotamian religion." To hell with it. Let's go. Let's go to the book of James. If a man seemed to be religious, what? Through our precepts, we get our understanding. You understand? When we go to the book of James, let's go to the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 26. Through the Spirit, it says, "If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man religion is vain. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: you are an Israelite, this is your religion, to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world." Unspotted from the world, and looking out for your people, the fatherless and the widows. This is the world, the Mesopotamia religion. The Most High God is the one that created this adversary for us to serve because of our disobedience. So why are we serving the creation instead of the creator? You understand? I yield there, King. You got it.
Hey, calm, mighty points, King. Hey, the brother's absolutely right. It's like the most wicked revolving door you can be on, right? The Most High God says, don't do this. Stay away from these people. Stay away from their customs. We do it. We go into captivity under them same people. Then we cry out unto the Most High God, hey, free us from these captivity. We sorry. We're going to return unto you and keep your ordinances. And then He sets us back right. And then we do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, right? It's a vicious cycle, right? Yeah, let me get this in the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, because it lines up perfectly with what the brother was bringing out. It says the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, starting in verse 1. It says, "Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Most High, that take counsel, but not of me." Right? That's that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Right? This is exactly what the brother was talking about. Right? We go to all these other nations and take counsel of them. Right? We want to seek after their gods in order to get the things that we feel like we want and need in this life. Right? We want to seek after their wisdom in order to progress in life. Right? We want to start talking about little random BS like manifestation. Right? That comes specifically from the heathens. Right? A brother said that. A brother said that to Kazak last night at camp. Right? I manifest. Right? Manifest destiny. Wasn't that something Esau was doing when he wanted to take over this whole land from the northern kingdom? He called it what? Manifest destiny. He wanted his kingdom to reach from Atlantic to Pacific Ocean. Why are we walking around talking about manifesting? Right? But I continue, verse 2. It says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, right? And mind you, this is in the book of Isaiah. This is well past, right, the times of Moses and Aharon, right? This is, so obviously this is not only just talking about that place, but it's talking about all of these captivities we've been in, especially this one that we're in today, right? In so-called America and Esau Edom's kingdom, right? Our people like to go down and trust in the strength of Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh say, hey, and in this instance, Pharaoh will be what? Your president. He says, hey, I give you these food stamps. I give you this government assistance, right? But women, you cannot have a man in your house. You have a man in your house, hey, then I got to take the stuff away from you, right? Well, what does that do? That makes, we have a whole nation of women who literally will sit here and have the government as their husband, knowing good and damn well this is the same people that raped, robbed, pillaged, and had us in chains. Our women are glued to them. at the hip, right? And meanwhile, they look at their brothers, the men that look just like them, their fathers, their sons, right? And they make them to feel as if they are nothing in this world. And yeah, we're brought low. We have no power in this system. But at the end of the day, the men of the Most High God, they're the flock of His pasture. But you can't tell our people that. You can't tell the brother that the next man over that look just like him, right, is a king and a ruler on this earth. He gonna scoff at you his damn self. Even when you tell him, hey, the same is true for you too, King. Why? Because they trust in the strength of Pharaoh, right? The so-called white man is the end all be all, like we said earlier, right? His face is on all the money. Real quick, King. Caveat. You remember they were talking about the Harriet Tubman, I believe it was Harriet Tubman, $2 bills, something like that.
Enlighten me, King.
So it was supposed to be, let me see if I can Google it real quick. All right, I'm gonna try to be quick for the sake of time. It was supposed to be, hey, I'm spelling Harriet all wrong. But it was supposed to be a circulation of $2 bills that was supposed to literally be coming out from the Federal Reserve. Which was supposed to have Harriet Tubman's face on it. You see that? Okay. Well, here, let me share my screen real quick because this is funny. Because I'm gonna make a point on this. Well, at first it was a $2 bill. Now they changed it to the $20 bill. Right? You see that, brother?
Kind of zoom in a little bit. Hey, if on my end, if it be coming off that small, let me know if I need to zoom in.
No, you
Yeah,
good.
I can see that better.
It says Harriet Tubman is currently slated to appear on the $20 bill, replacing Andrew Jackson with a planned release date of 2030, right? It says the redesign process, including security enhancements, is underway. While there were delays initially, the Treasury Department is actively working towards the 2030 target, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know right now that that's a crock of BS. They lying. Because when I was in middle school, they was talking about the Harriet Tubman $2 bills, right? And they told us that it was in circulation, but I have not met not one person that had a legitimate Harriet Tubman $2 bill.
Man, even if they did do it, King, hey, when you go to Ecclesiastes, right, was that 7 verse 7?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That the gift is true at the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that? How does that do it? I mean, they changed the face of it, but our people still killing each other over what's considered the value of Esau. Esau, his God is money. Legit. Just because our face is on it don't mean our people ain't gonna, man, that's BS, bro.
That actually reminds me of a precept, right? And I'm gonna hold that Isaiah 30. We're gonna come back to it. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 22. Where is it? I lied. Proverbs 22. Yeah, this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 16. It says, he that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want, right? These people, they oppress us in order to get rich, right? It's they say we picked over $1 trillion worth of cotton. That was the beginning of the economy of this wicked place called Babylon, right? And after all of that money that was made, right, all them textiles that were made, all them industries that was made off of the backs of our people, right? They grew fat and exceedingly wealthy while we ended up with nothing, right? And the brother's absolutely right? Ecclesiastes 7:7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and the gift destroyeth the heart, right? At one point in time, we understood, hey, that these people are our enemies, right? And they want nothing but to do us hurt. That's when we were able to pull up ourselves by our own bootstraps, as they tell us to do today, right? And we create things like, what's it called? Green something, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, right? So-called. And what they do, they napalmed it. If you don't know what napalm is, it's a military grade gel that's exceedingly flammable. One of the most flammable creations here on this earth, right? One of the most flammable man-made creations here on this earth, right? Where they literally will take planes and will dump this gel over a target, right, and set it on fire. And ain't nothing you can do to put it out until all that gel is burnt off. That's what they hit Black Wall Street with, right? But then again, that was when our people understood who their enemy was. But at that same token, they still trusted in oppression, because what? When they created Black Wall Street, were they returning to the Most High God their power? No. They were making themselves rich off of the strength of Pharaoh, off of his money, right? His face has been on all the money. And I bring up the Harriet Tubman instance to kind of show you, hey, his face is going to always be on the money as long as this place exists. Like I said, I'll be 33 years old in a couple months. I was in middle school when they was talking about the Harriet Tubman $2 bill. Now, all these years later, they're talking about a Harriet Tubman $20 bill, and it'll be slated for 2030. If we still here in 2030, guarantee you that's not going to be the case. But it doesn't matter to our people because they trust in the strength of Pharaoh. So let's go back to Isaiah 30, right? Verse 3. It says, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh, therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion, right? There goes that word again that the brother brought out at the beginning, the trust, right? In the shadow of Egypt, your confusion, right? And what's going to be that shame? What's going to be that confusion, right? Well, when we start, because it's going to be confusion, we ain't going to even realize, our people ain't going to even realize it. Well, once these people start coming at us in ways that make it blatantly clear that they are against us, because right now our people are lulled to sleep. Right now, our people are thinking that everything is all good, right? I mean, minus Northern Kingdom. Northern Kingdom is seeing, hey, these people are evil, right? But your Southern Kingdom, hey, we still think it's all good here, right? We're American citizens. We were born here, right? We were brought here over 400 years ago. Our ancestors was born here, right? We're thinking everything is all good. We can still get money. You know what I'm saying? It's no light thing for us to continue to trust in this system that has oppressed us all these years, right? But we're going to be put to shame by that. Real quick. Let me see. Since we're talking about Egypt, right? It's through the spirit. I don't have nothing written down, right? This book of Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8 says, now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it shall come to pass that When there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Right? Real quick, let's stop there. Right? They see that what the birth rate of the so-called white man is in the toilet right now. Right? France actually has a negative birth rate. I don't know if people knew that. Right? What does that mean? That means that year over year, more people are dying than are being born. And that's of the Edomite nation, right? Their numbers are literally dwindling, right? Well, what about the so-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American? Well, their population is increasing by a ton. Israel is like rabbits out here with the way they multiply, right? And you don't think these devils see that? You don't think that they understand that, hey, we're going to be overtaken soon if we don't do something, right? Why do you think you've seen that spirit over the, especially the last, 6 to 8 years, drum up so heavily, right? Talking about some MAGA, make America great again, right? Talking about some Proud Boys, right? Talking about some put Trump in office, keep Trump in office, right? It's because they see, hey, they're becoming more and mightier than we. We're getting ready to lose our country. The so-called white man is quickly becoming the minority. When I was growing up, that was one of the bywords that they had on us, right? Blacks and Hispanics, y'all are minorities, right? And it made sense because we were less, so they told us, right? We had less in number than them. But then now that it's flipped, you really think they're going to classify themselves as minorities? It's not going to happen. So they're going to deal wisely with us, right? Here, before I read on, I'm going to pull this article. It's a good time to pull this article, right? That's a lot, King. Let me know if I need to yield and pass it.
You good, King. Keep on cooking. I think we should do a part 2 of it. Because I don't want us to rush it and try to, cram all of this into a 60-minute class. Israel need to tap in on part 2 because I still got a lot too. So go ahead, bring it out through the spirit.
For sure. Let me see. Better see that? Right. This is on whitehouse.gov, right? In order to make it plain, this is Pharaoh's official website, right? And this is what called presidential actions, ending crime and disorder on American streets, right? This is an executive order that President Trump put into place, right? Look at the date. You see it. For sake of time, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I encourage you to go to it, right? All you got to do is type in that title, ending crime and disorder. And by the time you hit O on the word on, it's going to come up by itself, right? It says, by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered, right? Section 1. It says purpose and policy. It says endemic vagrancy. Real quick, I want to look up that word vagrancy. Israel, is good to pull out a dictionary every now and again, because that serpent, he likes to speak with a forked tongue. Right? And I'm looking up this word in the Merriam-Webster. For the sake of time, I'm not going to share the screen, but look it up in the Merriam-Webster.com, right? So you can see that what we're bringing out is not folly, right? It says vagrancy, the state or action of being vagrant, right? Well, what does that word vagrant mean? Word vagrant. Definition 1A. Before it gets into the definition, it says usually disparaging, right? The word disparaging just typically means to put somebody down, right? It has a negative connotation. It's an insult, right? The definition goes: someone who has no established residence and wanders idly from place to place without lawful or visible means of support. That's plain, right? Who are they talking about? Definition B, it says someone whose conduct constitutes vagrancy under state statute or other applicable law or regulation, right? So this is what vagrancy is. Vagrancy is talking about the homeless people. And we understand that the homeless is majority us, right? So let's get back to this. Let's get back to this executive order. It says endemic vagrancy, disorderly behavior, sudden confrontations, and violent attacks have made our cities unsafe. The numbers of individuals living on the streets in the United States on a single night during the last year of the previous administration, 274,224, was the highest ever recorded, right? Now, first off, that number is a lie, right? You can look it up yourself. Total population of homeless in the U.S., right? And they're going to give you almost 800,000 people. But let's continue reading. It says the overwhelming majority of these individuals are addicted to drugs, have a mental health condition, or both. Nearly 2/3 of homeless individuals report having regularly used hard drugs like methamphetamines, cocaine, or opioids in their lifetime, right? Now, they can tell you things and it sounds all good, right? But understand this is being put in effect to go after Jake, right? But when you look at this list of drugs, these are things that are used by Esau. I don't know any Jakes that is addicted to drugs that's addicted to meth. Do you, Kazak? You know any Jakes that are drug addicts that are addicted to cocaine?
Yeah, well, I mean, coke, yeah, but not all that meth and all of those extra stuff. We can't even afford all that stuff, man.
I was getting ready to say the same thing about cocaine. A crack is one thing, but cocaine has always been called what? The white man's drug.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It says, or opioids, right? Now we get a lot of these rappers these day and age, they promote popping pills, drinking syrup, this, that, and the third. Those are opioids, right? But when you look at the vast majority of people affected by opioid abuse, again, that's Esau. But this is something being put into place to go after Jake, because again, this is about endemic vagrancy. The majority of the population of homeless is Jake, right? It says an equally large share of homeless individuals reported suffering from mental health conditions. The federal government and the states have spent tens of billions of dollars on failed programs that address homelessness, but not its root causes, leaving other citizens vulnerable to public safety threats, right? Now, one thing about being poor and being homeless, right? The brother and I literally just brought a class out last week where we talk about how we're supposed to be there giving to the poor, right? How we're supposed to have stuff in the storehouses for the poor and the widow and the orphan, right? And the needy, right? Yahushua himself, book of Matthew chapter 26, verse 11, I believe. He says you have the poor with you always, right? The poor are always going to be a part of a population, right? But Esau Edom is saying that this is a problem. This is a safety concern. So what's his plan to deal with this quote unquote safety concern. It says it right here in the second paragraph, right? It says shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings. I'm going to highlight that real quick. Because again, Esau is that serpent, according to the scriptures. And anybody that knows a serpent knows it has a forked tongue, right? He's saying one thing, but meaning another, right? He says shifting homeless individuals into long-term institutional settings for humane treatment through the appropriate use of civil commitment will restore public order, right? So he's making it sound good, right? Humane treatment through appropriate use of civil commitment, right? But what's humane about being institutionalized for the long term? What's humane about that? We hear the word institutionalized, we instantly think about what? Incarceration, the prison system, right? Esau is planning on making being homeless a crime punishable by being put into prison. And not any old prison, because these aren't quote unquote criminals. This is going to be a long-term institutionalized setting, right? For humane treatment through appropriate use of civil commitment, right? It says surrendering our cities and citizens to disorder and fear is neither compassionate to the homeless nor other citizens, right? My administration will take a new approach, focus on whatever, right? It says it's neither compassionate to the homeless nor to other citizens. So he wants you to think, hey, this long-term institutionalized setting is going to be what's better for the homeless person, right? But they've already told on themselves. They've already let you know what these institutionalized settings are going to be like, right? And they're showing you it with what they're doing with Northern Kingdom right now. If you've never heard of Alligator Alcatraz, I truly implore you to look it up, right? Right now, there's a federal court trying to determine if it's lawful or not. And by lawful, I mean according to America's laws, right? But that hasn't stopped them from building it. It's pretty much already built, right? And it's basically a camp where they put people to concentrate, if you get what I mean. These are those institutionalized settings that they're talking about. But they won't say that. They won't just come out and blatantly say that. They got to speak with that forked tongue, right? This is how they're dealing wisely with our people, right? At first, they were going on illegal immigrants. Now they're going after homeless, right? It's only a matter of time before they go after so-called FBA, so-called ADOS. It's only a matter of time, right? Let's get back to Exodus, right? Chapter 1, verse 11. It says, therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses, right? These taskmasters, what are these taskmasters? These are the slave drivers, right? These overseers, right? And they're setting them up right now, calling them what? ICE agents, right? This is what the Lord is talking about when it says the strength of Pharaoh should be your shame and your confusion, right? Because you spent all this time trusting in them, trusting in their power, trusting in their what they call society, right? And the whole time all they had was hatred in their heart for you, like we started off, the whole goal of the enemies is to make sure that the name of Israel doesn't exist, that we don't know who we are, that we don't know who our God is, that we don't serve the Most High God the way He told us to do it, right? Hey, and for sake of time, I'm a yield right there.
Right. So we're gonna go ahead and cut it off right there and pick up next week. Lord willing, somebody was edified or will be edified in the coming days. Right. Next week, what we'll do is I'll highlight the remaining captivities and how our people have trusted in those adversaries, right? And the customs that they keep and how people started to adapt to them, right? And Brother Casadia, right, bring out his points, whatever they may be. I'm excited to see. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, we love you, Israel. Until next week, shalom.
Shalom, Israel.